day, Detroit. You're waking up with Woodward and Maine, your source for all the insider information on the defending NFC North champion Detroit Lions. With insight from Detroit sports media legend Terry Foster and rising star Matt Broder. Get ready, Detroit. It's now time for Woodward and Maine.
Hello, something.
There we go.
I'm here.
There we go.
Can you hear me? All right. So I'm starting this all over again. Good morning, everybody. I am Terry Foster. Welcome to Woodward and Maine and Overreaction Monday.
Of course.
Now, so after the Lions lose 20-16 to Tampa, they should bench Jared Goff, fire Dan Campbell, and the playoffs are out of the
picture. They're a 9-win team, max. It's time for Hendon Hooker. AG had a horrible game on defense. All the excuses are coming out.
All right.
Sounds like we're good.
Not saying things are perfect, but I have a critical question to start the show.
Okay.
Who is most to blame for this? Because Dan Campbell took full responsibility, which I don't give him credit for because that's what every coach does. When they lose, it was on me, and I got to do better. But that's just coaching speak. But
you're glad he did it, but that's just coaching speak.
It doesn't matter to me.
All right.
But who is more to blame for yesterday's loss? Jared Goff, check down king, Dan Campbell, or Ben Johnson? Because I think Ben Johnson called a terrible game yesterday.
Yeah, I'm leaning more towards Jared Goff and Ben Johnson as the bigger reason why they lost the game.
You can only pick one.
Then I'll give Jared Goff.
Okay.
I'll give Jared Goff. Because I don't think he was put in the right position to be successful, but he didn't play well. He didn't look good.
Bro,
the decisions he was making were not great.
No, they weren't. But when you have Jared Goff passing 55 times, that is a recipe for disaster. And here's the other thing that confused me about the game. Now, I don't know if you noticed, but there was a game last week that they won in overtime.
Yeah.
And the reason they won is because they gave it to David Montgomery, who ran specifically to the right over Penei Sewell and Zittler. Yesterday, I didn't see that.
They abandoned the run.
Right.
The moment 350-pound Vita Vea is officially out of the game, that's when they decide to heat up the passing game.
Right.
Why are you not running right behind Penei Sewell's ass every single play? If you can't get a first down consistently throwing the ball, David Montgomery and or Jahmyr Gibbs, he had a couple great rushes. You have the best offensive lineman in football and the best offensive line. Run the ball.
Right.
Run it.
Right. And I think Jahmyr Gibbs averaged like 6 yards a carry.
He did.
6.7 or something.
13 rushes, 84 yards, 6.5 yards per carry. And 7 catches for 22 yards, which is part of the problem. Oh, that's a lot of catches for him, not a lot of yards. There's a lot of this check down dink and dumps out of Jared Goff, which some situations it's hard to blame. Like, why are we passing in certain situations? But then again, he's making the decisions to throw it 7-8 yards when your first down's at 9-10 yards.
Right.
Like, how many third downs are they throwing the ball a yard or two short?
And how about this? You're inside the 20 a million times. You don't go to the end zone once.
Right?
Everything. And Sam Laporta. Let's get the milk carton out for him. What happened to him?
Is he on this team? Like, where is Sam Laporta? Why are they not force-feeding him the ball? It seemed like they finally started force-feeding St. Brown the ball, and he looks hobbled. We'll talk about St. Brown, but we're talking about second-year player, not one of the best tight ends in the league. There was one really good first down later in the game that they found him. Where was that the rest of the game? Why are you not looking at him first?
You remember I told you it was the last show. I said and maybe it's temporary. I had lost confidence in Jared Goff.
Yeah.
At the end of the Rams game, so I'm still there. I don't have confidence in him when he goes back. But one, I definitely have confidence in him when he's passing it 55 times. But what did Dan Campbell and everybody say after the Rams game? We're tough. We run the ball, we shove it down your throat. We're gritty. They weren't gritty. You know what? The Lions turned Hollywood yesterday. They tried to turn Hollywood and it didn't work.
Really?
Yes.
Why? How? Or how do you interpret that?
Well, they passed a bunch of times, and they kept passing. And even when they were in obvious run situations, they passed. And then they got behind the sticks and then kept passing. They tried to turn Hollywood.
Yeah, I don't get it. Even after last game, Dan Campbell said, the passing game's the last to come. Like, that takes time to find that rhythm. And there were a few good plays earlier in the game, the 50-yard pass to Jamo. But, like, your bread and butter is the run game. Just run it. Their red zone, it was atrocious.
And your bread and butter is not just the run game, but running over right. Right tackle, right guard.
Penei Sewell. Find him, run behind him.
Right, and it's like, we ain't going to do that.
Yeah.
Not today.
Terry, there's a lot of issues, a lot of negative. We got to be critical of this team. But just to start, I just want to – it was an ugly loss. It was a bad loss to the Bucs. I'm optimistic about this team. I see that they finally have a defense. That's all I'm really looking for. Yes, I want them. I wish they were 2-0. The season's not over by any means. I learned they have a defense. That was the biggest question mark all offseason. That was what held them back from being in the Super Bowl last year.
Right. The defense played that was a winning game defense.
Yes.
Offense, what is up?
Baker completed. You're telling me Baker completes 12 passes and they score 20 points? Mm-hmm. And you don't win that game?
To me, 20 points in the NFL is a shutout. That's what you strive.
Right?
Let's score. Let's allow 20 points and we'll take our chances.
And they did. And you're not worried. At least moving forward, I'm not worried about their offense. They shouldn't have been worried about their offense. Like, they should have won. What score did you give? I think like 31-21 or something?
31. No.
23.
It was closer. It was 31-27.
Yeah, they should have scored 31 points yesterday. Mm-hmm. They made so many mistakes. And while I picked Jared Goff, and it sounded like you picked Ben Johnson as maybe the ones to blame in that game, that mistake at halftime out of Dan Campbell.
It did. They were chasing those 3 points the rest of the game.
Yeah.
But with that said, if you have the offense that we think the Lions have, you should make up that 3 points with no question, particularly when the defense is shutting down Tampa. And you're it's like the whole game was played in the red zone and you can't score.
Yeah. In the red zone, they ran 21 plays. Do you know how many were passes?
It's 15.
Close. It was 14, which is way too many still.
It is.
2/3 of your play, you're passing the ball. Not even to Laporta. Mm-hmm. I think maybe one target to St. Brown, but we're talking like Jamo routes to the outside. I'd like to see that they have confidence in Jamo and are looking at him. I'm still going to Laporta or St. Brown in the red zone.
Cool, but Jamo is better. There's two games. There's a games between the 20s, and then there's the red zone offense. There, I was begging for him, please just run the damn football because that's what you do best.
They were the third best red zone team last year.
Right.
64.1% behind the 49ers and the Dolphins. They are elite in the red zone. Right now, they're atrocious. It's the play calling, it's the decision making out of Goff, and at the end of the day, it's why aren't you running the ball? It should be at least 2 runs to start, and then maybe you pass.
They tried to be Hollywood swingers yesterday.
Yeah.
That doesn't work, man.
One of the things I told you at the end of last show, I was worried that Ben Johnson, in a game like this, or really any game, because this offense has so many pieces, I was worried about them reacting to their opponent, whether it's how they're playing, injury. To me, yesterday, Ben Johnson looked at their secondary, and it was depleted. He said, all right, we're going to throw the ball all over the place today. And when it wasn't working that well, he didn't abandon it. He stuck by that, and I don't know if that's the time to stick by. The secondary played pretty well for them. Some of their young guys,
hey, I tell you what, those dudes can tackle.
They can tackle.
Because when you get hit, that's it.
That's it.
There's no yak against those guys, at least not yesterday.
No, they're going putting their shoulder in David Montgomery's quad.
Sure.
They weren't scared of anything.
Well, maybe the lesson is play to your strength and not to an opponent's weakness.
Yeah.
Or perceived weakness.
Yeah.
But after a while, you got to be thinking, okay, these dudes are not playing that bad. These might be backups, but they're playing well.
Yeah.
So let's run the football.
Run it. Mark Royal in the chat. Goff has struggled the first 2 games. Lions got lucky to win the first one, and that was because they took the game out of Goff's hands by running the ball to win. I sense a little undercurrent of giving up on Goff, but Mark Royal isn't wrong. He hasn't played well those first 2 games, and they abandoned the run. For Goff to be successful when he's at his best, your run game is cruising. So Goff, who's one of the better play-action quarterbacks in the NFL, the pass game plays off the run game. So Mark Royal isn't wrong. But this offense is still good enough.
Campbell said something that was a little bit stupid. He said, well, we were passing because we were trying to set up the run game. All right, when you going to run the damn ball?
Other way around.
Hello? No, you can do that, but at some point, when you open things up, you got to actually run the ball.
It works both ways. You want to be able to run, then pass. And this offense in the past, last year, their passing game was almost like a run game. You could guarantee a 6-yard completion to St. Brown or Laporta. It's not there yet. They can't do that yet. It's a little wonky. And maybe this is the time. We're going to talk about Jamo and Hutch and a lot of things, but the offense isn't there yet. We both just talked about the starting quarterback and the offensive coordinator, who I didn't have any questions about either of them going into the season. They're 2 of the main reasons why they lost that game yesterday. The offense isn't in sync. Do you think, while it's amazing that Jamo is emerging and we see him running all these routes, like his route tree is expanded and they're targeting him in different ways, did I not account for an adjustment period in the offense of just factoring in Jamo and his targets or how he runs routes? Like, something's a little off.
You're letting him off the hook. No, I don't think that is the case. You have a weapon like Jamo, but you still are a running football team. You still win by toughness. And Jamo should be a major part of your offense, but it's not, let's look to him first. Don't abandon your identity. I don't care if you have Jamo, Jerry Rice, and whoever out there. Your identity is still giving the ball to Gibbs and Montgomery and letting them pound, particularly late in a game when you're down 1 score. You abandon the run when you're down 14, 15 points. They were down 4 points the entire game, and you abandoned the run. All you have to do, 1 possession, score a touchdown. That's it. 1 more possession, score a touchdown. And you're not in a hurry. It's like 14 minutes left in the game, and then again with 7 minutes. You don't have to rush. You don't have to push the envelope. You could run the ball 7 straight times. You still got time.
And that was their formula last year. Mm-hmm. How many games with 10 minutes to go did they milk the clock and not even give the ball back? In the playoffs, they did it to the Rams. They do it to the Bucs too. No, Baker Mayfield threw that interception, but they're confident in doing it, which is why it's confusing. Like, what's different about this year? Why are you not sticking to your bread and butter? Especially if you're not in a rhythm. Just do what works. Montgomery to Sewell.
You know what? I think the Lions are fine physically. I'm scared of what I'm seeing mentally.
Okay.
Dan Campbell with the big mistake before the half. Jared Goff turning to check down Charlie when it was unnecessary, when you needed to get the ball into the end zone. Ben Johnson abandoning the run. Then when he did run, he would run to the left when, man, you've had so much success to the right.
Or if they went to the right, it was like a soft little halfback pass
Yeah,
around the
you know
outside.
what?
That's not running behind Penei Sewell.
No, that's not. In fact, you're running away from Penei Sewell on Penei Sewell's side.
Yeah. Big M in the chat just doubled down. Vita Vea left in the third, and Ben didn't even try to pound the ball. Vita Vea leaving should be the trigger, like the Rams game in overtime. All right, we're going to the run.
Maybe they didn't get the memo. Is that possible?
Did you get the memo? Would you like to come in on Saturday?
Yeah, maybe they said, oh, man, did they get hurt?
Yeah. Among other people on that segment. It was a disappointment on offense. All right, I'm just going to hit you with it. Was that an SOL loss? Was that an SOL type loss? Like, SOL is getting thrown around a lot.
It was.
I've thrown it around too because there are some people acting a fool. We'll get into the fans in a second, but you said mental mistakes? You're worried about that more than physical. That sounds SOL to me.
No, it was an SOL loss, which I thought we were done with that.
We are.
A lot of times when the Lions were embarrassments, they were in games, and then what you were afraid of, what they were going to do in the last 4 or 5 minutes. Yesterday, their last 4 or 5 minutes didn't make sense. I mean, they're running up and down the field, and then they can't score a touchdown. That is SOL.
See, to me, and why I don't think that's an SOL loss, separate from just, I think SOL is buried and dead. We covered that before, our pregame show before the season. To me, that's in the past. But an SOL type loss, old Lions teams, if they give the ball up with 53 seconds left, they're losing down in the other team's, they're not getting the ball back. We now have a defense and a team that under a minute, they screwed up. They needed to score that drive. Jahmyr Gibbs stepped out of bounds. You got to put points up on the board, and it has to be a touchdown. But they got the ball back under a minute, and they had it back within 20 seconds. Their defense was able to get the ball back and give them another opportunity.
But let's go back to the mental part. When you have the ball, one timeout, less than a minute left, you're doing a lot of out patterns. You're trying to get out of bounds. They're flipping it right down the middle.
First play.
Right.
6 or 7 yards to, was it St. Brown?
Right.
Clock's running.
And you know what? Then you burn a timeout. It doesn't help you. I'd rather have an incomplete pass in that situation. At least still have my timeout. And then, you do out passes or, heaven forbid, try to hit them up top with an end zone.
Yeah.
The other thing is Sam Laporta is a very good tight end. When you get in the red zone, okay, let's say you don't want to run it. Post his ass up in the end zone and hit him with a pass where only he can catch it.
Yeah. Oh, wait, they're missing an all-pro safety, Antoine Winfield Jr., who would normally be making it difficult on Laporta. He's one of the best. He's not there. Go throw it up to him. Throw him a lob in the end zone. Let him just you said box him out. I love that. Let him use his physicality. Just get Laporta the ball.
All right, because this is what a tight end will do. And I keep hating to bring up this body part, but they booty you out. They post up, put their ass out, throw it up high, catch the ball, touch. That's what Herman Moore used to do.
Really?
When he was the Lions. Red zone, they always had the fade route.
He was big, like 6'2", 6'3".
Yeah, he's 6'3".
Yeah.
Wasn't really big, but he was really tall and
He had the height.
And then he'd be covered by those Bowling Green defensive backs who were 5'3", so he would do that. But do the same thing. Why is Sam Laporta, who we go into this season thinking he's up there with Kittle, he's up there with the best tight ends, and
Kelsey.
Yeah, Kelsey.
Goddard.
He's right in there, and then all of a sudden, the dude disappears. or you don't target him. They target him 3 times.
In the moments where you need him. Like, that's supposed to be your safety blanket. Mm-hmm. Why are you not, when you need him, why are you not going to him or St. Brown?
Well, game 1, they don't target St. Brown.
Mm-hmm.
Game 2, they don't target Laporta.
Mm-hmm.
But you pass 55 times. That doesn't make sense to me.
Not at all. And that, Ben Johnson and Jared Goff.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Right.
They're to blame. You know who's not to blame? Aidan Hutchinson. How about that day? Part of what makes this so tough to deal with is you just wasted a 4.5 sack day out of Hutch.
Right.
That's his story.
Fantastic. Right.
It doesn't happen very often. He does that. Baker completes 12 passes, 7 of which are to Chris Godwin, and you lose. How do you waste a performance like that? / how good was Aidan Hutchinson? I don't want to just all be negative. The dude's an animal.
I told you yesterday he was going to be an animal. I saw in game 1, even though he only had 1 sack, but you could see his energy. You could see what he was all about, that mentality of, I'm getting to the quarterback. And then it just kind of happened. I mean, you get 3 sacks in the first quarter, and the offense put the defense in a bad position twice.
Yeah. And they still came out. They still got the ball back. Oh, hey, there we are. We're up on the screen.
All right. Exciting.
Where was this? Steve in this chat, just to go back to Laporta real quick. He says, help, missing person report. Missing person, Sam Laporta, has not been seen for 2 weeks. He's 6'3", 250 pounds, and has brown hair.
Oh, my God. Let's get those milk cartons out.
Give him the ball.
Let's get him.
Give him the ball. Hutch, great to see. Great to see a performance like that, especially without Davenport, especially with a scrambling Baker, who eluded some. We got to talk about how he was able to use his legs to beat the Lions. Having DJ Reader out there, although limited, that was a sight to see. I mean, not every one of Hutch's sacks, but a lot of the plays that defensive line was making, especially in the first 2.5 quarters, it seemed like Reader got a little winded. They had to take him out more at the game. Yeah. But he was taking on 2-3 blocks. He was doing what we thought he was going to be, and it helped a lot.
No, it didn't. What helped Hutch is a lot of times you saw congestion in the middle. A lot of times last year we saw Hutch chasing the quarterback. Quarterback is, oh, here he is. Let me go the other way, and nobody was there. Yesterday somebody was there, so no, you can't come back. And so I think Hutchinson deserves a lot of credit, but he got a lot of help too.
He did
yesterday.
He did. I think that also highlights maybe what they're waiting on out of James Houston. We don't have any question about his pass rush ability, but we see now all they need is someone to be in the right spot to contain the quarterback on the opposite side. Ideally, shrink the pocket like Marcus Davenport.
Brohammer, I know you love James Houston, but he might be done. He might be done.
He might. I'm not a James Houston.
Well, you keep bringing up his name.
I do. That's one of the important pieces. That's a polarizing figure for Detroit Lions fans.
I think for whatever reason they're done with James Houston.
You think so?
Yeah. Just my bunion is hurting.
Your bunion has been right in the past. It's throbbing. I see it.
Right.
It's
right.
It's beeping red.
The bunion is on your foot, not your head.
Yeah. What?
Well, you got your head on your.
Something's going on there, bro.
Something is. Why he's not active playing in a game without Davenport, I don't know. 4.5 sacks out of Hutch. Hutch is going to win Defensive Player of the Year, right? Or will he?
Well, sample size is too small.
Fair.
But he's going to be in the conversation. I mean, this is going to continue. He has found his sweet spot. Last year he was a bundle of energy.
Yeah.
Now he's a bundle of energy that's producing. And I believe he's going to be in that conversation. You can never guarantee. It's just 2 games.
Yeah, there are studs out there. But this is a good first 2 games to start.
He's one of the studs.
Yeah, 5.5 sacks in 2 games. I'll take that.
Face of the franchise right now.
It's true.
Step in the hood. It's Jamo.
Be careful. Jamo getting too comfortable with the city. He might be up to no good, Terry. He might be up to no good. I think Hutch is going
to Island yesterday.
He went to Zorba's?
Yes, I wonder if he did.
I hope he did. Mm-hmm. If that'll make him feel comfortable.
He deserved the Coney Island.
He deserved it. He played well again. It wasn't as game-shattering as week 1, but to see him 50-yard pass, the different routes that they were targeting him on, I almost thought they maybe targeted him a little too much on some of those first down, third and longs or whatnot. You want to go to Laporta and St. Brown. But I like seeing that confidence.
What I always say about Jamo, let him fly.
Let him fly.
And they let him fly. And guess what? Jared Goff had enough arm strength to get it to him.
Weird. I was told he doesn't. Now,
He
granted,
put it right here. Bam.
Granted, he didn't play very well yesterday, and there were some really bad throws. Not that one, though. That was a really nice throw. Right in the breadbasket.
Let that brother fly.
Let him fly. Let him fly. It was nice seeing Tim Patrick out there. I think he had 2 catches. That is a big boy. 6'5" looks big on a football field when you're got Khalif Raymond next to you. Shout out to Khalif Raymond. I like seeing that. I like that they have confidence. Like, we're not worried about Amon-Ra St. Brown. They got him the ball. I'm not worried about this offense. I'm disappointed in them. Like I don't feel any different about this offense than I did before the season, other than they play 2 bad games and they got to figure it out. But to me, there have been so many people, and talk about that game was an SOL type loss. Maybe yes, maybe no. Terry, it was mind-blowing how quickly SOL fans reemerged. Like game 2, it's time to put Hendon Hooker back in, or not back in for the first time in his NFL career. Are we really calling for the backup quarterback already? Are we really?
Hey, bro, this is Detroit. This is what Detroit does. Always calling for the backup quarterback.
Why? What's so wrong with supporting the starter after a bad game? After 2 bad games? What about a stretch of 4 bad games?
Well, you know what? He wouldn't have had a bad game if the game plan was better.
Right. There are a lot of factors to it.
Right. Have him throw 30 times a game.
Mm-hmm.
Or 30 times yesterday.
Yeah.
He'd been more effective. You don't want him with the, how do I want to say this? You don't want him dictating how the game is going to go. You want him to be a part of it, but you got to mix it up. And every coach, I like to listen to the coaches speak in different cities. They talk about balance, how important balance is. And in today's NFL, I'm talking about this season, it looks like we've got bad quarterback play, not just here, but across the league. So, but that will clear up maybe by week 3 or 4. And, but, you shouldn't be surprised. Last year they lost game 2 to Seattle.
Right.
Panic in the city.
Panic.
Here, I'm going to calm you down. The Lions, once they get through this, I'm going to call it a mental fog.
Okay.
Fogs always disappear at some point. And maybe they got the wrong attitude. Maybe they got too much Hollywood in them, and they got to go back to their roots.
Oh, we're talking the Lions, not SOL fans. I'm talking
about the Lions.
Okay.
Lions have to go back to their roots.
Yeah.
What do you do well? You run the ball. Now you've got a weapon in Jamo. You still have a weapon in Sam Laporta. You got to go to him sometimes. Mm-hmm. And you don't pass the ball 55 times.
Yeah, that's unacceptable. Unacceptable. Maybe if you have the 30th ranked running back room in the league and a bad offensive line.
And you're down 17 points.
Yeah. But you have the best running back room and the best offensive line. It's unacceptable.
Right. And you got a pretty good defense that's basically holding Tampa in check.
Such a good defense that Dan Campbell still feels confident enough to run a fake punt on his own 20-yard line.
Right.
Which worked out great. But that's a sign, hey, defense, if we don't get this, I'm putting you in a bad position. But, hey, go out and hold them to a field goal. Mm-hmm. Because field goals shouldn't beat you at home.
That drive there should have told you things were not going to work out. You get a fake punt, it works. You go for it on 4th and 2. It works. And then 3 plays later, you're punting again. That just normally when Dan Campbell does something like that, it results in points. But that told me like something's funky going on today.
I like that he chose in most of the situations to kick the field goal. There was one, it might have been a little long, a 58, 59-yarder that they decided not to kick it or not to, I'm trying to remember the exact situation, get it up a couple yards for it to allow Jake Bates to use that leg. But it does feel like he's confident in his kicker. Maybe not for that long one yet. I like to see that out of Dan Campbell. Even if he doesn't use it, I like it. I like that he's confident that that's in his arsenal. We saw Jake Bates knock a few in. They got to score a touchdown, though.
Right.
They got to score a touchdown that drive.
This reminds me of the Jason Hanson era. When Jason Hanson, the kicker of the Lions in the 90s, became the MVP of the team. You don't want Jake Bates to be the MVP of the team. You don't want him kicking 4, 5, 6 field goals in a game.
No.
How about a couple?
Couple.
And then you score touchdowns the rest of the time. If Jake Bates is kicking a lot of field goals, this team is not going to do well this year.
Facts. I agree with that.
It's going to be rough.
You just need him there as your weapon and as a guy you can count on to make the easy ones.
Right.
Send him out there. Let the other team know he's got 55 in his arsenal, so they got to play their defense differently up at the 30, 40-yard line. But if it's within and you're giving it to him, he can knock them all in.
Give Dan Campbell another toy.
Yeah. Give him
it.
another toy. Old Jarhead in the chat says, don't overrate the defense. It's still no better than mid, not top 10. It might not be top 10 yet. I think they are top 10 in several categories, but even if they're a top 15 defense at this time, that should be plenty for this offense to work with for this team to win. If your defense is competent, which it wasn't last year, the defensive line was good last year, not rushing the passer.
Okay. Bottom line, you give up 20 points. Bottom line, you give up 216 yards. Bottom line, in the NFL, 20 points to me is like a shutout. That is a winning performance. And I know you want to have an actual shutout. You want to harass Baker Mayfield where he makes no pass completions, but that's not realistic. That defense yesterday was pretty damn good.
It was. The Shaquille Oatmeal in the chat. The Lions are second in the NFL in yards right now, but they're 16th in the NFL in points. They're moving the ball. It may even be ugly, but they're not scoring. Their red zone has been so bad. You got to.
But they're making mistakes. And the Dan Campbell mistake was huge. The fact that you're passing in the middle of the field when you have no time left at the end of the game was egregious. You also had time to run the football late in that game, too, and you chose not to. So I thought that was ridiculous. But, once again, that was not thinking. That is the mental game. The thing that we often don't recognize, we often don't acknowledge, is the mental game. Now, the Lions last year were mentally tough. Now they're a year more advanced, and now it's like they took stupid pills.
Yeah. Which is why I'm not worried about them. It's frustrating right now talking about a loss when we shouldn't. They should have won that game. But these are all mistakes that are, I don't want to say easily coachable or easily changed, but like I said before the season, I have so much faith in Dan Campbell and Ben Johnson and Aaron Glad and Brad Holmes that when mistakes happen, they're going to fix them. They're going to adjust. There are certain areas want them from last year to this year to be able to adjust and have good third quarters, to be able to do this and do that. But everyone, it got to be 99% of this city supported all of those guys before the season. Why do those fans think that these guys all of a sudden are just incompetent and aren't going to learn from this game and get better? We've seen Dan Campbell do that every year. He hasn't been perfect, but each year he's improved.
They have the perfect elixir for this. They're going on the road. I think this is perfect. Maybe they got too comfortable. Maybe they just think, we show up, we'll win at home. The crowd is loud, and we got all these weapons and stuff. Now, and everybody else is hunting you. Now you've got to be the hunter again. Mm-hmm. The Arizona Cardinals is something you need now. You can't go 1-2. You can't be below 500 at any point this season. So that might wake the Lions up and get them mentally more focused. Once again, physically, I have no problem with what they're doing. But, man, these brain fogs and these stupid decisions are mind-boggling.
After that Seahawks loss in week 2, overtime, 37-31 loss to the Seahawks, ski mask game with C.J. Gardner-Johnson, Lions ran off 4 great wins in a row. Dominated the Falcons, dominated the Packers, dominated the Panthers, and dominated the Buccaneers week 5. I guess that would be week 6. Week 6.
You would expect that to happen again.
Yeah. Why wouldn't it? Everyone calling for Hendon Hooker to come into the game. Why all of a sudden do you not trust Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell for, hey, Jared Goff, you're worth 4 years, $212 million. Why is that a dumb decision all of a sudden?
Well, it's not.
Because he played bad, which he did.
It's not. Yeah, he did.
He played really bad.
Everybody's going to have a bad game. And what the Lions proved, and maybe this should get through people's thick heads, is they know how to rebound from bad games. People panicked after the Seattle game last year. They panicked after the Baltimore Ravens game last year. They panicked twice against the Bears, even though they won one of those games. But I still think people shell-shocked around here. They're going around looking for demons, following them, and so.
So T-Foss, I get ripped a lot for this. People call me sensitive or something. Fine. I have no problem with people being critical of the team, with people freaking out about the team. Shoot, even if you truly believe in your mind Hendon Hooker is better for this team right now, fine, feel that way. What I don't like, and I feel personally responsible to defend that those people will rip on anyone just staying loyal and supportive to their team, saying, hey, Jared Goff had a bad game, but this offense is going to be fine. Ben Johnson had a bad game. This Lions team should have won. They're going to be an 11-12 win game. That's turned into a negative. I'm a Goff gobbler. I'm a slappy. It's this negative. Sorry for supporting my team. That's what fan bases should be. Fine. People can be negative. I have no problem with that. Don't make it a bad thing for people who are just staying loyal to their team, who trust Brad Holmes, who talked about it 2.5 weeks ago and are going to stick by it and not flip-flop like those clowns.
Right. I don't believe in the word negative or positive when you're talking about an NFL team.
Good.
You see what you see. But, what happens is the Detroit fan base hits extremes. And they hit extremes because they're not used to having a team that's a perennial contender. They're not used to a team that should win double-digit games every year. They're used to a team that pops up and says, hey, we're here, and then disappear. Mm-hmm. And so I think what's up is this fan base is so afraid that the Lions will go back to what they were. And let me tell you, this is Terry talking. It's not going to happen. The Lions are a real organization. The Lions will rebound, and I think it's good that they're going on the road against Arizona.
A good up-and-coming team. They play hard. Mm-hmm. They aren't a perfect team quite yet. They're young, and they got some issues, but they play hard for that coach, the pew-pew coach, Gannon, Jots.
And Kyler Murray doesn't look like a little shrimp out there anymore. He's actually playing well.
I mean, he still looks like a little shrimp, but let's be real.
He's a shrimp.
He's a shrimp.
But he's not playing like a shrimp.
No. I got to call out my guy, the Shaquille Oatmeal, because I know he's not going to take this personally, but he says in the chat, I would have done 2 years and see where we're at after that. Like, we're talking 2 games after, and we're now questioning the contract that all summer, every time a new quarterback signs a new monster extension and Goff continues to get pushed farther and down the list, that I thought that was a bargain. And right above that old jarhead, any other player performing as bad as Goff should be benched, even if for a few plays. But be stubborn because you paid him? Did you watch the preseason game? And do you remember, it took up until the final hour for them to decide, are we good enough with Nate Sudfeld and Jake Fromm, or is Hendon Hooker that dude?
Right.
He might be part of the future. I like Hendon Hooker, and I think he's got a bright future. He's not ready. Why are you not there? You're not going to your backup quarterback in a 4-point game late in the game because he's played bad for 3.5 quarters.
Right.
You hope that you've seen his track record.
I didn't see anything out of Hendon Hooker this preseason. Maybe say, there you go.
Yep.
Let's put him in there. Raw, doesn't matter. He's good.
Yeah.
I didn't see that.
You can't raw dog him that early.
No.
Hey, yo.
Absolutely. And you're down 4. You don't make a quarterback change. Particularly a guy that's gotten to an NFC championship game, a guy that, when you go around town, people are saying, Jared Goff.
Yeah, weird. Weird how they've given up on him already. You want to play bitch, please?
Sure.
Do you want me to start, or do you want to go?
You seem to like bitch, please.
I do.
A lot.
I do, and I think this is a
ahead.
great game, and I'm going to ease into it. I'm not even going to give my most powerful one. But here's a comment that I've seen over and over and over again all over social media, Terry. The Lions are an 8 or 9 win team now. They're awful.
Bitch, please.
Like, come on, bitch, please. This team is fine. It is 1 loss. The best part, the part I'm most comfortable about with this team, the offense, has not played well. In fact, they played bad yesterday. Their quarterback played bad. Their OC called a bad game. I ain't worried. This offense is their identity. We're good.
But your Uncle Terry tried to tell you that this year, after every loss, there's going to be panic in Detroit. It's going to be panic in Lionstown. And you kind of say, well, it's happening. And it's going to happen again.
Yeah.
They're not going to go 17-0, 16-1, or even 15. Even if they went 15-2, there'd be panic after the second loss.
Yeah. It's wild. You got one for me?
Sure. That
I got another
Jared Goff
You're stealing my guy.
needs to sit down. Jared Goff needs to sit behind Hendon Hooker for a little bit. Bitch, please. No.
Bitch, please.
Stop it. Not happening, nor should it.
Thank you. Thank you. Do you think, I just saw a comment from my guy, Mark Royal, says sometimes you need to make an example to Goff and sit him for playing like trash. What are your thoughts on that in the NFL right now?
Okay, I tell you what.
If
they're down 17, 20 points, I would agree with you. Bench his ass. But he's in a flow. It may not have been a great flow, but he's in a flow. He's in the heat of the battle. He's down 4. He's putting up 461 yards of offense. You would think at some point that they would get in the end zone.
Yeah.
You would think at some point that the red zone, instead of being 1 for 7, maybe they'd be 2 for 7 and win the ball game. You would think that. Now, here's what I'm thinking. If you put Hendon Hooker in there, I know it's not going to happen.
Ain't going to happen.
Right.
But he can run, Terry.
No, he can run. But you may not even get your ass in the red zone.
I believe that. It's wild. It's wild.
It is wild. But the Lions, with all that said, were 1 play away from us not saying any of this stuff.
Yeah.
When Jahmyr Gibbs ran around and then barely got pushed out of bounds late in the game, that could have been the difference right there.
Yeah.
Or if Dan Campbell gets that field goal off, maybe you're in the red zone late and you're taking a knee to set up for a 20-yard field goal to win the game.
Mm-hmm.
If that happens, we're not talking all this bench Jared Goff stuff.
We're talking again. Crap. 2 bad games, and they're 2-0 against 2 good teams that they met in the playoffs last year.
Right.
We're praising them for being a tough, gritty team to pull out that victory. 1 or 2 things go a little bit differently.
Right.
It's funny you brought up that Jahmyr Gibbs play, because my next one is about Jameson Williams. Because most people don't think that Jameson Williams doing anything but pass catching is important. They think that Jamo blocking isn't important to this team or to Jamo's progress, or shouldn't be factored in why Jamo is about to break out or why he's part of this team. Bitch, please, man. Like,
Bitch, please.
like that block that he had on that Jahmyr Gibbs run that he stepped out of bounds, like an inch and he's in the end zone. That was Jameson Williams opening up that hole for Gibbs to go, like going after a linebacker twice, making sure he created that hole. Jamo blocking is important. I don't want to hear it from anybody again. And yes, Flannel, I know you're listening. We're going to be on the show next together.
You know what? If wide receivers don't block, end arounds don't work. You may as well not even call them. Because you're asking your wide receiver to not even block sometimes, but to shield somebody, get in somebody's way. And so you use your speed, the speed of Gibbs, to turn that corner. And that's what Gibbs did.
Yeah.
Almost broke it.
Almost.
And the key was Jamo putting that block on.
Although they ended up winning in overtime against the Rams, there was a play, our guy Amon-Ra St. Brown, and I know it's hurting him that people are talking about this, so I'm not worried about him, but he gave up on a block on a David Montgomery run to the right side that would have ended the game a couple plays early. Little things like that. All your receivers being able to block downfield, it's all a part of the winning formula. And it's part of Jameson Williams' emergence on this team.
Right, absolutely. Now, there are wide receivers in this game who won't block.
Right.
And they'll get their 100 catches and their 1,500 yards and stuff. And guess what? A lot of times those teams don't win because those wide receivers won't do the small things. The fact, here was my fear of Jamo, that he would become this diva. He just wants his 100 catches. He wants his 1,500 yards. But if you ask him to block, he will like, nope, no thank you. But that hasn't happened. He's bought into this Lions culture. And in the long run, this is going to pay off.
It will.
Big time.
They expected it, or they forced it out of him and expected it last year. And it paid off in that Chargers game and in many games. And that's carrying over. That's not just a one-year thing for him. The kid is now a man. The man has matured and is continuing to mature. But that's part of the on-field maturity. Hey, I'm faster than everyone else. I'm probably more talented than every single person on this field. But I got to block to be able to get – no rock, no block, Terry.
Correct. And it also shows that there's trust in him. Why wasn't he a major part of the offense last year? They didn't trust him. There was no faith. And that's why Jared Goff is a Detroit Lion. The Rams didn't trust him. They lost their faith in him. Now, this coaching staff trusts him. They have faith, and they believe in him. But don't put him in a position where he's got to pass 55 times in a game.
That's not a winning formula. Here's my last one, Terry. This is what I heard, another comment pulled right from social media. Hear it all the time from about 4:10 to this morning. Jared Goff is an overpaid game manager that can't lead the Lions to a Super Bowl.
Bitch, please.
That's a joke. I don't understand how people can so quickly jump off the bandwagon. I get the stubborn people like Easy who never bought in anyway and are faking all that shit. But it's actual Lions fans. Like, all right, he had a bad game. He's mid. He's a game manager that can't lead this team. You know, the team that was, a half short of the Super Bowl last year, not because of Goff. He gets all the blame when they're bad. When they're good, it's on Ben Johnson. It's on the offensive line. It's on the running game. But yesterday, apparently Jared Goff yesterday, listening to Ben Johnson's play calls, apparently he's not good enough for this team anymore. Bitch, please.
Well, he wasn't the best. Ben Johnson wasn't the best.
No.
And Ben Johnson's a guy that's praised all the time. He can do no wrong. But he did yesterday.
Yeah. Did bad games.
It didn't make sense.
Do you think they'll clean it up?
They will clean it up.
Yeah.
They will be fine. This will be a team that will contend for a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
This is a team that's going to win a bunch of games this year. This is a team where y'all people are going to be screaming, well, why were you so negative after the loss to Tampa? They'll clean it up. I think what they need is to be backed up in the corner a little bit, which they are now. I saw a team the last 2 weeks that was complacent. It's a little, it doesn't take a lot.
Yeah.
But they lost that edge. And that edge, once again, not the physical part. They played in spots very well, but then it was just the mental mistakes. And I'm talking for Ben Johnson, and you're down 4 and you don't have much time left, so let me throw a little 7-yard pass behind the sticks and let time run out. That doesn't make sense.
And he's not making that decision last year when they're in their rhythm.
Right.
They'll get better. It is 7:50, Terry. We got to call it a day. They play the Cardinals next week. We'll be here Sunday at 8 a.m. It's a 4:25 game. We'll be here Sunday at 8 a.m. talking about how these Lions get back on track. I'm still optimistic, Terry. My predictions, while I didn't expect they lose that game, my prediction numbers, I'm still sticking to them. It was an ugly one. They should have won that game.
Yeah, but you predicted 17-0.
No. I predicted 13 wins.
Okay.
Now, game by game, I think the Lions will probably win each game, but
Sure.
they're going to lose 4 games. Here's one of them.
Ooh.
It happened.
Okay.
It happened.
They'll be good. Stop panicking, people. You're going to be fine.
We're going to be fine. Great show today, Terry.
You too, buddy boy.
See you Sunday, chat. Thanks so much for engaging, interacting. This is Woodward and Maine. Coming up in about 8 minutes, Wake Up Woodward with Flannel Kool-Aid. JB, KG, Chase, Justin, the whole crew. Come on back here in a couple minutes. Have a great Monday. Go Lions.